good. After the Allies reached Berlin, Gus had been seconded to the unit interrogating suspected war criminals, and he was there to pick up on every hint, every evasion, every lie, every innocuous fact, and piece together a truth, even though she had learned in the rubble of her country that absolute truths were as precious and as fragile as life itself. "You are very thoughtful, Gus, and I am grateful. Please, don't think that I'm not. I know how lucky I am." Krista used, as she always did, the formal Z, not do. Gus was usually matter-of-fact, a practical man, but he surprised her. "If I knew you better, and I wish I did, I would know what you're thinking." Why should he? No one knew anything about anyone else, and would it be a good idea if they did? Much of what was hidden in people's minds was shocking. Does it matter? You can argue both ways. But if we are to have a marriage... They contemplated in silence the implications of what had been done and what lay in the future. Once or twice, she and her friend Lotta, beloved Lotta, had talked about marriage and what they would like from it. Unsurprisingly, perhaps, as they were orphans, and as neither had experienced much of it, kindness was the top of both their lists. As she was dying, Lotta reminded Krista, "Find a kind man, my friend." She paused for a difficult breath. "My darling friend." And that was that. Every so often, the blackness prompted something to shut down in Krista's head, like now. It was as if she could not process as many moments as there were to be processed, as if her mind needed a second's rest. Then it lifted. Krista probed the crack in her bottom lip with a tooth. It stung, and she could never work out why she continually provoked such discomfort. Not that she was much interested in explanations. All she knew was that in relation to the hunger and savagery she had weathered, this small pain offered a diversion from the big picture. The tiny drop of blood on her lip tasted salty. "Gus, you should have told your sisters about us." Both sisters were living in Gus's house. The elder, Julia, had been widowed 19 months previously, and Tilly was unmarried. "I hope they learn to love you," said Gus when he told Krista about them. "I think people more often want to kill each other than to love," Krista replied. Reaching for his cigarettes lying on the seat, Gus lit up. Perhaps. What was she doing with this man? "What's the time, Gus?" Gus frowned at the question. He didn't like to be reminded, but Krista didn't mind one way or the other. In Berlin, no one possessed a watch because the Soviets had stolen them wholesale. The more watches a Soviet soldier possessed, the higher his status. One of them, a sergeant, as he boasted to Krista, who understood a smattering of his language, cornered her in the ruins of the convent. He had raised his arm, and there they were, a dozen or so of them stacked up over his wrist. "I make sure I have the fancier ones," he explained in broken German, "and I can trade them." He had taken care to point out the one where a jewel winked at the center of its face. Fascinated by this reminder of luxury, she had stared at it, finally reaching over to touch it with a fingertip. "What a beautiful thing," she said. A couple of minutes later, he raped her. But she'd been expecting that. Her main feeling was of anguish that her one remaining pair of knickers had been ripped. "Are you ever sorry?" she asked the Russian sergeant. He shook his head. "It's war," he replied. "That's what happens. We expect to do it." He pulled down his cuff over the watches. "You women expect it." "I'm going to buy you a watch." Gus looked out of the taxi window. "That's a promise." Gus was telling Krista that she had a new life. No longer would she creep through the ashes of the city. No longer